This is the plaintiff, Perry Motalabi. He says he gave the defendant a deposit in good faith to build an extension on his house, and the guy tried to trick him by omitting some things in the contract. That's right. He took out things like windows and countertops to show a cheap price. Once he realized the guy was a crook, he demanded a refund of his deposit. The crook refused, and he's here suing a louse for the $800 he's owed. This is the defendant, Greg. He says he made up 3 different proposals for the plaintiff because the job kept growing and growing. He gives 1 free estimate and charged the plaintiff for the other 2. That's why the guy cut him a check. 2 months later, the plaintiff told him he had to cancel the job because his wife's health took a turn for the worse. Now the plaintiff turns around and sues him, claiming he gave him a deposit. Ha! He's accused of trying to be sneaky.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says he hired the defendant to build an extension on his house, but the guy swindled him by leaving key items out of the estimate. The defendant says it's BS. The plaintiff canceled and he won't get his money back. It's the case of, I'll give you an extension.
Perry Motalabi, you are suing Greg's company, represented here by Greg. You've asked us to refer to you only as Greg, for $800, $500 that you want returned to you that had been a good faith deposit, and $300 for him wasting your time. Talk to me. What happened?
Your Honor, I called him when he was working on my neighbor's house. I told him I have a plan to add the extension, 2 bedrooms, 2 bath, and kitchen in case my wife comes home for 2 nurses to go upstairs. And
when you say in case your wife comes home?
Because she was in a hospital, still she is, and they may amputate the knees from knees down. I mean the foot from knees down.
All right, so she, okay, so then what happens?
So what happens, I talked to him a few times. One day he came over, and I told him I just needed a plan for the frame, roof, and the siding, nothing else. I was planning.
You needed a plan or you needed an estimate?
Estimate.
Okay.
I had the plan.
Okay.
So we sat down for almost 3 hours. We went through everything step by step, how much going to cost, because I had some prices, for instance, for the kitchen, cabinet, and things like that. So came to almost $172,000. So what happened is the price wasn't bad. I thought I can negotiate down with him. So what happened, he said, Perry, if you're serious, give me something that, I can go by, so I'll give you the estimate. So I gave him $500.
Okay, so the $500 was for what?
For him to send me an estimate.
Okay, and did he send you an estimate?
Yes, which is this one right here. But when I read the whole thing, was missing tons of things, like, for instance, the heating wasn't in it, or that, plumbing wasn't in it, or the electrical wasn't in it. So I called him same day. And I explained that what is this, the heating, electrical, nothing is included in this contract. And he said, no, it is in it. I said, no, I don't see it. He said, I said I need it in writing.
Of course.
And next day, he sent me this estimate. He emailed me this estimate. It's exactly same thing, same price. It has the, plumbing and heating and electrical in it. But it's still, when you go to the last, but now it's 11 pages. When you go to last page, still I have to purchase all those things. So it would cost me another $30,000, $40,000 on top of that.
All right, so talk to me about the discussion at the table. Tell me about that.
Well, Your Honor, it started long before that discussion. That was probably the 5th time I was at his house. The first estimate was free. I always provide a free estimate. I don't charge anybody for 1 free estimate. And then he requested all these additional quotes. And at that point, I said, I'm well above and beyond the first initial free estimate. And I already had estimated twice.
Did you say those words to him?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and then?
And I told him, at this point, I need to be compensated for my time. I don't mind giving you additional estimates. He said, no problem, I'll give you a check for $500. I did not ask for a specific amount.
Okay.
I said, okay, I agreed to that. I had asked him to sign the last estimate that I gave him for a receipt. He refused to sign it.
Okay.
All right, he said, it's not what we're going to do. We're going to make some changes, so I don't want to sign this.
Okay. When did you find out he doesn't want to hire you?
Well, at this point, we were texting back and forth that he wanted to hire me, he wants to hire me, he has to wait for surgeries and whatnot, and...
Do you have the text to show me?
Yes, I do.
Can I see it?
So if it just doesn't work out, does the homeowner get his deposit back?
No, unless they agreed in advance that.
But what did they agree to? They agreed to do a deal, and they didn't have a meeting of the minds.
Why would you pay somebody in advance for something they haven't done yet?
Never answer a question with a question. Going inside the courtroom.
Hi, Perry. I haven't heard from you in a while. I hope everything is okay. All right. This is on September 4th. Unfortunately, it looks like they may have to amputate my wife's right leg, and if it gets to that strong possibility, she can go in. All right. So in September, he warns you that he tells you, like in mid-September, he tells you, I made my final decision considering her situation. I'm not planning to do anything. If I do it next year, you'll hear from me. Please send back my deposit. If you recall, and you answer him by text, if I recall, you told me no matter what happens, a good faith deposit was mine and did not have to be refunded for all the extra time and effort I put in helping you plan. Sorry for your wife's condition and hope she recovers soon. Okay. Well, and why would any money that you pay as a deposit be refundable without some proof that it's in fact refundable? In other words, a default position for a deposit is that you're taking up somebody's time. If you pay a deposit in an apartment, they're taking it off the market, you know? So you have to prove to me that it's fully refundable. And you're telling me, well, when I asked you what'd you pay him the $500 for, you tell me, well, so he'd give me an estimate, which is kind of how he describes it. Because unless there's some specific writing that says deposit is fully refundable, the idea behind a deposit is that you are compensating the person for something. They're taking themselves off the market by giving you time. They're taking an apartment off the market because you've asked them to. So no, I find that the deposit is not refundable, and certainly the $300 for time wasted is not refundable. Nobody ever compensates me for my time wasted. My verdict in this case is for the defendant.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So the plaintiff does not get that deposit back, the $500 you gave to him. You understand the judge's verdict?
Judge didn't let me to finish the whole
Well,
thing because he offered me half of it back one time.
Well, you should have taken it.
Okay.
You would have been better off had you done that.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, sir, but that's the judge's decision. Okay. All right. Now Greg is on his way out of the courtroom. You learn anything from this?
Yes, I did. Should get signatures whenever collecting a payment.
Good point. And then it was a good experience for
It
you.
was.
All right.
It was.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. Harvey, I think a lot of people learned something here. What do you think?
Look, whenever you make a deal like this, just remember, the more specific you are, the better you'll be in the end.